There is some breaking news out there. I was just reminded of it. Not necessarily religious, but it is at least reassuring. It's reassuring with a side of, well, of course, duh. There's been an arrest in relation to the backpack bomb plot in Spokane, Washington. Remember back on Martin Luther King's birthday holiday? A backpack bomb was found undetonated in Spokane, set to go off around men, women, children, peacefully observing the MLK Day holiday. Yeah. Now, this won't get any coverage in the for-profit media simply because, well, they're too busy with Charlie Sheen. So don't expect a lot of coverage of this breaking, important news. The FBI SWAT team, an FBI SWAT team, has executed a search warrant. They've made an arrest as of this morning in a little town in northeast Washington near the Canadian border called Addy, A-D-D-Y. It has been investigated as specifically a case of domestic terrorism. Not that you'll hear that on the for-profit news. The arrestee is Kevin William Harpham. Who is Kevin William Harpham? He's a veteran. He is a former soldier. He has ties that connect him to the white supremacist movement. He, at least in 2004, was a member of an organization identified by the Southern Poverty Law Center as a hate group called the National Alliance. Dave Nywert noting that the National Alliance is one of the most visible white supremacist organizations in the United States. He's a member of the Vanguard News Network. That's a racist website featuring essays and blog posts and message boards, things like resettlement and construction of local communities for whites and how to live white. Jesus, it sounds like an Eddie Murphy skit on Saturday Night Live. By the way, the bomb was placed in such a way as to maximize the blast toward marchers in the street. The maker of the bomb used, among other things, rat poison, intending to make sure that victims of the blast continued to bleed freely once they had been struck with the shrapnel from the bomb. I don't know about you, but that story gives me chills. They caught them, but how many have they not caught? And there will be more of this. There will be more of this for as long as these monstrous thugs don't get their way. Which means that until they are rooted out to the last man and woman, tried and legally convicted and put away for a long, long time, every last one of them, peace will be mighty hard to come by in this country. Because the threat of a Jared Loughner or a Harpham or any of the other growing legion of right-wing killers in this country will be always in the backs of our minds. And sometimes at the side of our parades and our marches. Chilling, isn't it? And the thing is, do these things happen because someone acts alone? Of course they don't. They are influenced. They are influenced up and down and around and around. Addy has long been a hotbed of extremist and Christian identity activity. Christian identity. You know, it's interesting that Peter King, who is having his investigation of all Muslims hearings in the Congress beginning, tomorrow? it is interesting that he has no plans to investigate domestic Christian terrorists. A spokesman for his office said, well, he will if he becomes aware of any. Well, Congressman King, here you go. But Congressman King also says that the entire Muslim community is tasked with constantly proving that they are not seditious, terroristic killers. Where is his demand that the vast body of Christianity disavow Christian identity participants and members of the National Alliance, like Kevin Harpham? Because you can't talk about the Christian identity movement, you can't talk about the National Alliance, you can't talk about Aryan nations, you can't talk about these skinhead freaks without reference to the fact that they ground everything that they hold to be true in terms of Christian imagery, doctrine, and dogma. In the Christian identity movement, in the National Alliance, in all of these hate groups, God Almighty is as white as ivory soap and created the white man to rule over all of what they refer to as the mud people. No, really. I grew up hearing this stuff. Where, then, is the Christian community and its full-throated denunciation? Where is the Southern Baptist Convention and its unequivocal denunciation of these monstrous bastards who act in the name of the Prince of Peace? Where are they? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Because they are part of the protected majority in this country, and therefore they don't need to do that. Only a hunted minority, like practitioners of the Islamic faith, must do that. And bear in mind, I'm no Muslim, I'm no Christian, I'm no Buddhist, I'm no anything. One of these is as silly to me as the next. But that's to me. That's to me. Facing Mecca to pray is as dumb as having to wear a hat or believing that crackers turn into meat. It's all dumb. It's all foolishness. But again, that is to me. And I want for people to be able to worship as they see fit. If they need an invisible friend to get them through the day, you know what? That's okay. Some people need 3 martinis. Other people need a doobie. Some people need Xanax. Other people need religion. Because Ash Wednesday or no Ash Wednesday, I suspect that we are far more cognizant of our own mortality than any of us would care to admit. And we don't need a little bit of filth rubbed into our heads once a year to remind us of that. It is with us every day. It's with us in the process of growing old and joints that aren't limber and loose like they used to be. Not those kind of loose joints, freaks. It's with us in a cough or a wheeze. It's with us in the fearful examination of a breast or a testicle. That there is, in fact, a checkout time. We know it all too well. And sometimes it makes it hard to get through life. Sometimes it's overwhelming. And sometimes we just deliberately look away. But we know all too well. And the question becomes merely one of, hey, how do we just make it a little bit better? A little more tolerable? Because 24 hours, maybe 60 good years. How do we underscore the good in that?